dear colleague, Chazan Jason Green. The significance of the new London Synagogue and its clergy. And at this point I want to thank Rabbi Jonathan Wittenberg for his memories and his insights, which invoked in many of us such nostalgia. This beautiful building was consecrated in 1882 by Rabbi Herman Nathan Adler and was the seat of the chief rabbinate of the United Synagogue until 1964, when the St. John's Wood Synagogue moved to Grove Road around the corner. In the early days of the United Synagogue, rabbis and chazanim used to be called minister preacher and minister reader, and both rabbi and chazan were addressed as reverend, and they wore dog collars. Remarkably, the chazanim appointed to this synagogue have had long and illustrious careers. The first was the Reverend G. Prince. Together with Reverend Herman Meyerowitz, Reverend Prince produced the musical notations for biblical cantillation, which you will see at the back of the Herzl-Marsch. Reverend Prince served here in this building for 18 years, and he was followed by the Reverend Mark Hertzberg, who served for 40 years, and he moved with the United Synagogue to Grove Road in 1964. When Rabbi Dr. Louis Jacobs, of blessed memory, took his place in this historic building, the highly respected George Rothschild, his good friend, led services here as the Chazan until his retirement. Jason, you are following Chazan Stephen Coxon, another very much loved minister, who supported and served the congregation for 16 years, from the time of Rabbi Jacobs through the rabbinic leadership of Rabbi Chaim Wiener and Rabbi Dr. Uwe Hammer, and now Rabbi Jeremy Gordon. We are so pleased that both George and Stephen are with us to witness and honor your induction into this auspicious role that follows them. So, here you are, serving this wonderful congregation with Rabbi Gordon in a holy partnership. In this current climate of economic and spiritual change, many congregations, not only in this country, choose to rely on their members to lead services with varying spiritual results. We can thank God that the New London Synagogue has chosen to maintain the time-honored role of the Chazan, the Cantor, to partner Rabbi Gordon in ministering to the community in all its aspects. It is important not only to preserve and teach our sacred traditions, but to ensure that the sound of the service accords with the space it fills in this remarkable sanctuary. The Hebrew word chazan equates with chazon, a vision. The chazan is a visionary, a leader who holds the dreams and emotions of the congregation in prayer at all times, not only at services, but for individual life cycle events and other needs. The Chazan is the repository of the music of the synagogue, and especially the nusach, the sacred chants of the liturgy, which we might call the DNA of Hebrew prayer. It is an ancient tradition that carries the beloved texts directly to the soul of any Jew who prays. The Chazan is a sweet singer in Israel, the leader who through his own devotion to Jewish life, to community, with a genuine love of people and the sacred traditions, brings people to join him. He is not only a knowledgeable and devout singer and musician, but a true teacher in Israel. He is a person within whom God has graced a beautiful voice, but who knows that he has to work hard on curbing his own ego, understanding that he is a servant of God and the community, a conduit to prayer. He is a person who listens to the needs of others and who crafts his skills accordingly. He is a person who is constantly learning and teaching and inspiring others to do that too. The relationship between the Chazan and the rabbi can and should be a most fulfilling one, as each brings his unique skills, working together, sharing and supporting each other in the spiritual care of the community in a ministering partnership. Here, in the new London Synagogue, with Rabbi Jeremy Gordon and you, Jason, this partnership is a blessing to the community. And it seems as though it's in the roots. Long may it last. Jason, Chazan Green, you come to us from Montreal via the USA, with experience which is unique for the Anglo-Jewish community. In that you learn with two very fine British teachers. The first is Chazan Stephen Robbins, with whom you worked in Montreal and also via Skype until you both ensured you had a command of your vocation. He brought you to London to be examined at the London School for Jewish Studies, which is formerly Jews College, where Chazan Robbins led the cantorial program following Chazan Jacky Chernett, who is now Rabbi Chernett. Jews College was the alma mater of this synagogue's previous cantors, and indeed Chazan Robbins himself. In Montreal, you worked with Stephen Glass, the legendary and highly talented British musician, whose famous work with choirs is second to none. I am so very delighted to welcome Stephen Glass here today. Stephen himself is also a protege of Chazan Robbins. I have also had the privilege of studying with Chazan Robbins for many, many years. Chazan Stephen Robbins is also here today to honor you. And I want to take this moment to acknowledge and to honor and to thank you. We can see how much his influence has had on our development in Anglo-Jewry. Jason, you are now also a member of the Cantors Assembly, the largest professional body of Chazanim in the world. And I was so pleased to be there when you were presented with their own very high standard cantorial certification. Mazal tov for that. I am very proud to include you among the teachers and mentors of the European Academy for Jewish Liturgy, as you help us train and inspire lay leaders of Jewish prayer all over the world. It is this work that will help to keep alive our precious traditions in congregations where there is no Chazan. The sweet singer in Israel is the term used for King David, the psalmist, as he soothed the troubled soul of King Saul. You are indeed a sweet singer. Your beautiful lyric tenor will grace the prayers of this synagogue and please God for many years to come, and soothe many a brow as you hold the spiritual energy of this congregation in your soul. It came as no surprise to me to learn that you are a Levi, the Levitical tribe being traditionally the singers in the temple. It also came as no surprise to me to learn that you are a great, or even greater, grandson of the famous Chazan Jacky Chernett, who lived from 1805 to 1903. Chazan Blumenthal held his famous pulpit at the Broder Shul in Odessa for about 50 years. He was a Chazan who kept aloof from communal politics. Maybe that's why he lived so long. He was not only a Chazan, but a maskil, an intellectual. His innovative genius at that time was to introduce oral singing and a simplification of the chant, in which he emphasized inspirational and emotional qualities of devotion, and not an ostentatious vocal display. I have no doubt that his legacy and that of the Levi'im have been passed down to you, and members of the new London Synagogue are privileged to be the recipients of it. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel wrote, "To attain a degree of spiritual security, one cannot rely upon one's own resources. One needs an atmosphere where the concern for the spirit is shared by the community. We are in need of students and scholars, masters and specialists, but we need also the company of witnesses, of human beings who are engaged in worship, who for a moment sense the truth that life is meaningless without attachment to God. It is the task of the Cantor, the Chazan, to create the liturgical community, to convert a plurality of praying individuals into a unity of worship. As you assume your role as Chazan of the New London Synagogue in its Jubilee year, all of us are mindful that it isn't an easy thing for you or Jody and the children to up sticks and move to a completely different country, away from family and known culture. Our prayer is that you grow in your relationship with this special congregation and it with you. We pray that together with Rabbi Jeremy Gordon, you sustain a holy partnership as you minister to the good of the community. As you go forward in your life's journey together with your wonderful wife, Jody, and the jewels in both your crown, Zev, Noah, and Yitan, may your life be filled with love of God, Torah, Israel, good health, strength and wisdom, and with length of days. May it be your will, Adonai our God, and God of our ancestors, that you guide Moreinu Chazan Jacky ben Yosef Alevi, Chazan Jason Green, in his life's journey in peace. Protect him along his path. Bring him blessing and success in all his work, together with the whole of Israel. And let us say, Amen. And as we thank God for bringing us all to this moment, let us say together, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'er